Let's look at the right view of the end times. The right view of the end times is going to be based upon a literal understanding, okay? So it's not possible to cover everything on the end times, but I'm going to cover 4 major points if I have enough time, and their scriptural background. The first is the restoration of Israel. Again, without a proper understanding between the Israel and the church, you cannot have a right view of the end times. According to Jesus and the prophet, the end times revolves around the nation of Israel and Jerusalem. When Israel rejected and killed Jesus the Messiah, the temple and Jerusalem were destroyed, and the Jewish people were scattered amongst the nations, fulfilling the literal word of the prophets. Moses writes, Deuteronomy chapter 28, "Then the Lord will scatter you among all people, from one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, wood and stone. Among those nations you shall find no rest, for your soul, your foot shall be a resting place, but there the Lord will give you a trembling heart, failing eyes, and anguish of soul." That's literal. Bible prophecy also tells us that the Jewish people will be gathered. They will be gathered in the last days and brought back into the physical land of Israel. Now, Joel links the restored Israel to God's judgment of the nations in the valley of Jehoshaphat. Joel chapter 3 says, "For behold, in those days, at that time, when I bring back the captives of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will enter into judgment with them on the account of my people, my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations. They have also divided up my land. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision." Again, we see Israel linked to the judgment of the nations. So Israel, restored to the land, the Jewish people in the end times will find themselves in the tribulation period. The nations will surround them, causing them to cry out. It's during this period of mourning that they will cry out to their Messiah, Jesus Christ. This is exactly what Jesus refers to when he links his second coming to the national acceptance of him being the Messiah. Just turn to Matthew 27. It says, Jesus talking says, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the one who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often I would wanted to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. See, your house is left to you desolate. And this is Jesus talking, he says, "For I say to you, you will see me no more till you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." Notice what Jesus is saying. He's saying he's not saying you're never going to see me. He says, you, Jerusalem, Israel, you will not see me until you proclaim that I'm your Messiah, until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. So that's the first point. The second point is the tribulation period. The tribulation period is a period when the nations are gathered together against Israel. Jesus himself is the one who talks about a tribulation period. The word tribulation comes from the Greek word philippis, which means to press together or pressure. In Matthew 24, Jesus uses this word 3 times. In fact, Jesus links his second coming to the tribulation, saying, immediately after the tribulation, he quoting Jesus, they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven. From the books of Daniel and Revelation, we know the length of the tribulation period. It's a 7-year period. And it's at the end of this 7-year period that the Jewish people are going to come to know that Jesus Christ is their Messiah. It's called the 70th week of Daniel, Daniel's 70th week. Now, Jesus says again, he says in Matthew 24, 29 and 30, do you take it literally, or do you make it mean what you want it to mean? Jesus says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will not give its light, the stars will fall from heaven, the powers of the heaven will be shaken. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Now, according to Jesus, Daniel, and Jeremiah, the tribulation period is a period that's unequaled in the history of the world, and it's never going to occur. According to Jesus, most people on the earth are going to die from it, okay? And these events surround what? They surround Israel. As the pressures from the nations surround Israel, in the end days, Israel will call out to the Messiah. it's no accident that today we see the world talking about peace in the Middle East. We see the world assembling teams to go to Israel. We see the top nations getting Israel so that they can make peace with the Arabs and the Muslims. In fact, Jeremiah talked about this in Jeremiah chapter 30, verses 6 and 7. But it's called the time of Jacob's trouble. But here's the amazing thing. It says, alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. It is a time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. In other words, Jacob, Israel, will be saved out of this time unequaled in the history of the world. Daniel also links this unequal time to Israel's resurrection, to the resurrection. In fact, if you read Daniel chapter 1, we see the angel Michael, who's called to the assistance of the nation. In fact, it's very clear. He says, at that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince who stands watch over the sons of your people, Israel, okay? And there will be a time of trouble, such as never since there was a nation, even to that time. And at that time, your people shall be delivered, everyone found in the book. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. Again, Daniel 12:1 is talking about Israel and the Jewish people, and it's linking this time of trouble with the resurrection. Jesus himself says about this time, for there will be a great tribulation, such as the world has not seen since the beginning unto this time, nor ever shall be. When we assemble the scriptures, we find this period is known as the tribulation period. So let me just summarize the points real quick. Jesus returns to Israel at the end of the tribulation. The time is unequaled in the history of the world. The dead are resurrected, and Jacob and Israel is saved out of it. Did you say one more minute, John?
You have 25 more seconds.
Okay. And the final thing is the third point is the second coming, which again, this is where we talk about the distinction between the church and Israel. The church is raptured up, while Israel as a nation views Christ's return in a very literal, physical way.
Okay, and that will do it. All right. Well, thank you. That concludes part one of our format for tonight. We're going to move right into part two.